Welcome to episode 308 of the Grip Strip Podcast, the more of the same edition of the Grip Strip Podcast. Not what we're going to say on the show, but some of the winners that we saw this past weekend at Darlington Raceway. My name is Philip Matthew. I'm your host, and as always, I'm with my co-host, the iRacing Indy 500 champion, computer genius, gentleman and a scholar. His name is Joshua Fine. What's going on, brother?
Doing great, Phil, of course. Another week, another Tyler Reddick win here in the Cup Series. So, more domination, of course, in a new form, but maybe it's just like old school because, you've seen that Raja Kruth and Mark Martin video, and Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott had some domination back in the day similar to this. So maybe it is more of the same in certainly some kind of lights, but ready to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Winning for the first six races, a reference to the only two other times that's ever happened. Dale Earnhardt in 1987 and Bill Elliott in 92. Of course, in 1987, Dale Earnhardt won the championship. Going away was back-to-back championships at that point for Dale, his first two of what ended up being six for Richard Childress Racing, and then Bill Elliott fell 10 points short in one of the greatest races in NASCAR Cup Series history at Atlanta in 1992 to Alan Kulwicki. But we'll see what happens for Tyler Reddick since they're going to Homestead for the final race, and that's one of his best racetracks. But it seems like most of these racetracks are his best racetrack, the way that the 45 has shown up to start the year. Justin Allgaier in the Xfinity or O'Reilly Series, getting another win, extending his points lead, getting his 30th win, historic number there. We'll get into that more in detail. Corey Heim, of course, has a schedule driving all different series, no permanent full-time ride, but went down to the Truck Series that he dominated last year. Went out there, got a win on fresh tires late in the race. But getting all those things, we'll get into 12 hours of Sebring in the roundup, along with the Arizona Nationals NHRA, MotoGP, Moto2. Was at Brazil last week, and then they'll be at COTA for the U.S. Grand Prix this week. The Formula E Madrid E-Prix. There's Supercross at Birmingham, Alabama. Which is interesting since they'll be at Baba here for Indy cars. World Superbikes will be at Allgaier, Indy next at Baba. Of course, the Japanese Grand Prix for Formula One, IndyCar, Barber Motorsports Park, Cup in O'Reilly at Martinsville. Josh will let us know all things going on iRacing Gaming in the Sim segment, and we'll call it a day. So we will get into the NASCAR Cup Series Goodyear 400, and I'm actually calling it Goodyear because their tires weren't absolute trash. For Denny Hamlin was talking about it's good they call it Goodyear 400 because we went through enough sets of tires. His employee went out there, had electrical problems. He had power charging issues with the alternator and the battery, had a pit road issue, but in the end, Tyler Reddick, the Xfinity sponsorship moving from sponsoring the second series to sponsoring 2311, and they're definitely getting their money's worth this year. Reddick goes and passes Brad Keselowski with 28 laps to go. Second car from RFK he made some sort of contact with because he made contact with Christopher Buescher. The Reddick and Keselowski dominated the race. It was basically those two, and really, if you had Buescher, it was really those three guys. That was the entire race. RFK was up there all day trying to contend for that victory. The Gibbs cars were a bit off. The 23 had pace, but then they screwed things up. The 35 was actually good until it wasn't. But when it was all said and done, Tyler Reddick gets his fourth win in his first six races of the 2026 Cup Series season, joining those two Hall of Fame legends, and adds to his insane points lead in this chase format. by getting a lot of stage points and being 5 points short of maximum haul. Tyler Reddick, your winner, gets his first win at Darlington, his 12th career win. Brad Keselowski finishes second, wins both stages, so maximizes his day, maximum amount of points he could get for where he finished. Ryan Blaney finished third after starting seventh, best finish he's had at Darlington. Hurricane Hocevar driving a Dale Earnhardt kind of Blue Goose throwback with the Chili's margarita deal, came from tailback to fourth. Gumby Cindric was fifth. Keebler Gibbs was sixth. Nacho Libre was seventh. Byron eighth. Busher ninth. And that Jones boy, even after getting spun out by Denny Hamlin, miscommunication, whatever it was, going into turn 3, comes back to finish 10th at, of course, his best racetrack. So those were your top 10. Hamlin was 11th. Briscoe 12th after wrecking late, very, very late in the race and basically destroying the right side of his car. Was running in the top 5 late in the race. Fell all the way back to 12th. But actually got stage points for the first time all year. It only took 6 races. Ryan Preece, Shane Van Gisbergen from 33rd to 14th. William Clyde Elliott II was 15th. Chastain, Barry, and Connor Zilic, your lead lap cars there. Christopher Bell was your first car 1 lap down. Larson had issues late in the race, broken toe link. Had a bunch of stage points to maximize to basically save his day. Finished 32nd. Bubba Wallace, a few days after the birth of their second child, his and Amanda's first daughter, being able to go out there and thought he was going to have that energy of winning and after they had their child, but definitely went to hell for that team and Riley Herbst, the 2 other 2311 cars. But for Reddick, Josh, I mean, continues this energy and momentum. I was thinking about Kurt Busch, his throwback weekend or alumni weekend. And in a lot of ways, I think what Michael Jordan wanted to do was bring Kurt Busch in to go and build this team to be in a position like this. In the end, his replacement, because RCR is stupid, and allowed him to leave, has gotten this team to where I think in a lot of ways where they've always wanted to be. First and third in points right now. And I mean, this momentum, how long can it go, I guess is the best question right now. Who's going to stop these guys with this amount of points lead? They're free rolling at this point with 4 wins, the amount of points they have. I mean, it reminds me, it's not even about the points from the last few years because that was a different format. It reminds me of yesteryear of really getting off to a great start. It's almost got like Kenseth vibes. It's got some vibes to what Dale Sr. used to do in this format. He'd go out there and he'd maximize on the days that he didn't have his best stuff. He'd still get a top 5 or a top 10 finish. That's what Reddick's been able to do for the most part. And then he goes out there and wins when they have it. And he was able to fight through adversity yesterday. It's really about Reddick, but you got to give credit also to RFK.
Yeah, no, for Reddick, off to an incredible start here in NASCAR. And yeah, 4 of the first 6, obviously. Toyota 5 of the first 6. So, Toyota's been, off to a good start. For Ford, they've kind of been off and on this past couple of races, but Blaney and Keselowski have been bringing it for them. Chevys have been quite as good. Of course, the new nose, they're still adjusting to it, I guess. But obviously, Hocevar had a good run, and so did Daniel Suarez this week. Both getting top 10s there. Hocevar was flying there at the end, of course. But for Tyler Reddick, of course, off to incredible start to the year. And you mentioned him when he moved to 2311 to the 45 car. Denny Hamlin in the winning, or not the winning interview, but the introductory interview on SiriusXM called him a franchise driver in the press release. So he's certainly shown it here this year and this season. We've seen it in the past from him, but the results just haven't quite been there up until now. And yeah, now this is what happens when you're able to just put all your money into the team. And basically this is all, like, I saw a tweet saying this is basically just a guy putting all of his money into the creative effort for the team. So they're able to maximize what they're getting out of this car, of course. And obviously they had the battery issue there early on in the race, but they were able to recover from that. And of course, Tyler Reddick having to compromise with the cool suit there, and having to dump out the water and figure out other ways to keep himself cool and composed physically throughout the race. So he's able to go out there and pass Brad Keselowski there on the final run for the finish, and go out and win the race by 5 seconds there. So it was really interesting there at the end. That final pit cycle. Thought when Tyler Reddick and Chris Buescher made contact there, kind of reminded me of that finish that they had together in 2024 when they got together in this race, and that opened the door for Brad to get his win there in the 6 car. But kind of reminded me of that, and I thought there'd be another yellow there that would kind of reset things. But as it's been the course this year, NASCAR, they've held the yellow until the absolutely need to, last possible moment there. So kind of glad to see that finish kind of play out under green, of course. And it was definitely kind of one of those old school races where you saw people coming in through and coming back through the field. So obviously Reddick going from the back to the front there, Hocevar at the end coming through from outside the top 10 to finish in 4th there. Ryan Blaney had a good run there as well. Eric Jones top 10. This is the one track he finishes consistently good at, of course. Ty Gibbs, another top 10 for him. Cindric top 5 finished there. So I think it definitely showed this race. I mean, maybe it didn't look statistically all that different from previous Darlington races, but certainly the eye test, I guess, if you will, definitely looks like this package was a step in the right direction there. So definitely a lot of good racing there throughout the field on Sunday. Definitely, I guess, looking forward to seeing how it continues to evolve for this package throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up the Chevy teams trying to figure it out, and I think this rules package, like you're referencing too, there are certain teams that seem to have hit on this. RFK seems to be on the forefront of it for the Fords. It hasn't been as good for Penske in a sense, but really for Blaney it's been great. But for Logano it hasn't, which is interesting. You look at the Chevys, the 1.5 mile package is fine, obviously, by what they did at Vegas, but they were up there for a while, but then fell back. While their junior team goes out there, the 7 and 77, and they've been really solid here at the 3 races where this package has been used. And then you add the super speedway races to that as well for 5 out of the 6 races. So it kind of is interesting how that all works. I mean, for Brad and for the RFK team going and throwing back to Greg Biffle in honor of him, try to get that win at Darlington, would have been Brad's first win in 2 years. But, in the end, for them, opportunity lost, but, Reddick was just better, and Brad said it. And he wanted to give him hell, he said, before he got around him. So he did. And, for somebody recovering from a leg injury to be driving, Darlington 400 miles, be able to go out there and gut it out, Reddick not have air conditioning and some of the other comforts and get the job done. Credit to those guys. In terms of, there was only two cautions for cause, that 40, the Jones and Hamlin incident going into 3, and then a spin by Herbst on lap 198. There were at least 3 instances there late in the race where they really could have called a caution, but they didn't. So I guess credit to NASCAR on that. Getting into the points here. Right now, Tyler Reddick has a 95-point lead on Ryan Blaney and 120 on his teammate Darrell Walsh Jr. and 122 on his co-car owner, Denny Hamlin. William Clyde Elliott II is in 5th. Byron, Busher, Bell on running the Bs, and then Brad in 9th. Larson is 10th. Keebler, Gibbs, Preece, Hocevar, Suarez, SVG, and Logano slips down 5 spots to 16th to be on the bump right now, tied with Michael McDowell. Colleague cars definitely had issues, and it's probably going to start showing here as we get through more races, but Allmendinger lost some points there. He's currently 18th. Zane Smith, 19th. You have the likes of Chastain, Cindric, Briscoe right outside there. In terms of 31 points, Briscoe's out of the top 16 at the moment. Cindric 30 points, and then 24 points for Ross Chastain. You go further back than that, I mean, you got Kyle Busch in 23rd, so there's a decent cluster of guys there. After Zilich has moved, after his run at Darlington, has moved ahead of Cody Ware and Cole Custer at least, and he's only 7 points behind Barry and 11 behind Stenhouse. It's actually a decent cluster there from Herbst, if you can extend it even out to Austin Dillon, all the way to Connor Zilich. There's 24 points there amongst those guys. So see how that goes at Martinsville. Go to the O'Reilly Series. As I mentioned, it was historic for Justin Allgaier getting his 30th victory of his O'Reilly Series career. Only the 8th driver in the history of the series to get to 30 or more victories. He's only 1 victory behind 5-time series champion, the Ironman Jack Ingram. So Allgaier trying to go for that elusive second title. We would always say elusive title. Now it's elusive second title because of how many times he's probably given away championships in junior motorsports. But this was a race where he took it away from someone else, since Kyle Larson probably should have won this race. He dominated, won both stages, led the most laps. The only other person that led double-digit laps was Allgaier. Wasn't really a whole lot of movement. There was only 1 caution for cause in the whole entire race, which involved, Hank Hill, that was Kyle Sieg, Hank Hill, the 91 of Alex LeBay, the 26, which is Dean Thompson, and then LeVar Scott. LeVar Scott had a cool looking Sunoco car, but it didn't really matter because the car got destroyed. There wasn't a whole lot of drama in this race. Just pit road issues for Kyle Larson, or else I think he would have won this race going away. Christopher Bell was up there driving the 19 car. You had Allgaier, Buckshot Jones, Bell, Larson, Carson Kvapil, Corey Day getting a 6th place finish, Sheldon Creed, Parker Retzlaff continuing a strong start to the year. I referenced this in the video I did with Motorsports Reports about Viking Motorsports. Parker Retzlaff, Anthony Alfredo, both had great runs. Sammy Smith, Sam Mayer, your top 10. Jesse Love, Alfredo I referenced, 11th and 12th. Ross Chastain was 14th. Sawalich 17th amongst guys that scored some stage points. Josh Williams led one lap randomly. There were 27 cars on the lead lap at the end of the race. But yeah, I mean, for Allgaier joining illustrious company, being with 30 wins in the series, of course, you got Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Mark Martin, and I mentioned Jack Ingram amongst other drivers. But to join the Ironman in a historic victory there, so credit to Justin Allgaier, the little Gator. Yeah, I mean, we got it here. So yeah, Kyle Busch, Mark Martin, Kevin Harvick, the only three above 40 wins. Brad Keselowski is 39, Carl Edwards 38, Jack Ingram, and then Justin Allgaier and Joey Logano actually have 30. Both have 30. Matt Kenseth has 29. Jeff Burton, wow, 27. Dale Earnhardt Jr., 24. Tommy Houston, Tommy Ellis, Sam Ard, Harry Gant, Dale Sr., Greg Biffle, 20. So yeah, amongst active drivers that probably are going to go and drive an O'Reilly Series race, possibly. I mean, it's basically Kyle Busch, Allgaier, maybe Dale Jr., but probably not. Chris Bell, Larson, Allmendinger. Hamlin says he wants to do it, but he can't get funding, which is crazy, but we'll see. But little Gator goes out there, Josh, and gets the job done, and gives himself a decent amount of points there, adds to his points lead, giving himself a nice gap, 52 points as of now with 2 wins and 2 stage wins. Has a huge gap above everybody other than Jesse Love right now, and that's something that you want to have as you move forward through the rest of the season.
Yeah, for Justin Allgaier, I mean, I think he, with all the wins that he's had throughout his career, he's only had one series title here, and what's we call now the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and I think this format here will definitely help him. Ever since he was in JRM, right, he's always been a contender, if not in the Final Four, close to it, right? But I think this format here is definitely going to help him probably be the favorite for this title so far. So, already 2 wins on the season here. The consistency that he's had so far to start the year, 4 top 5s out of the first 6 races. So he's definitely shown what he can do, and I think this allows for him to have continued consistency throughout the year. So if he's able to show this in the final 10 races for the O'Reilly Auto Parts, or however many races it is for their chase, this definitely plays well for him, because he's a guy that has always put up consistent results week in and week out, where I think going back to starting this show, I think I probably picked Justin Allgaier a ton in the Xfinity O'Reilly Auto Parts series picks. So he's just been super consistent. So I think right now I should look at him as the early favorite for the championship here in this series. But I mean, it wasn't the dominating day. I mean, it's kind of reverse of last week. So remember, he led the first 2 stages, won both of them. But then, Kyle Larson, last restart there in Las Vegas, had a great restart, won the race. Kind of the opposite here. Larson dominated throughout the day, and then just at the final pit stop, they fell back to 4th there, so weren't able to capitalize there on at the finish on the end. And Justin Allgaier goes out and wins the race. So credit to them, of course. For the 7, of course, the 88, of course. I think Rajah Caruth definitely he'll be back in the 88 car here at Martinsville, so guess he'll be looking forward to running good, knowing what Larson and other drivers have been able to do the past couple of weeks in that car. So definitely, I think Rajah's definitely itching to get back into that car here. So definitely a good run for him. Parker Retzlaff doing well, probably punching above his weight class there, definitely in that 99 car here, finishing the top 10, qualifying fifth there on the day. So not too much here from the Xfinity or from the O'Reilly Auto Parts series. Otherwise, just one big crash there that kind of changed the complexion of that race there. Only one caution for cause. So it's a fairly. For this series, definitely a fairly typical race there. So we'll see how things play out as they head out to Martinsville next week.
Yeah, and for Martinsville, precursor of what we'll see later in the year, might be a little different now with the chase format versus the win and in and the demo derby aspect that kind of existed in the past. At Martinsville, we might actually have a little more of a cleaner, more tame race. To be fair, there's been some tame races this year more recently, so something to be said about that for these guys. Mention the points. Allgaier leading by 52 over Jesse Love, Quapple, Creed, Hill, your top five. All the drivers and all the regulars that have won a race are represented there amongst the top five. Sammy Smith, Corey Day, Bruckshot Jones, Parker Retzlaff, Rajah Caruth, lost 2 positions in points there with his finish. Sam Mayer, Taylor Gray, you're 12 currently. Taylor Gray, 13 points of his teammate William Sawalich, and 16 ahead of Brennan Poole, 17 ahead of Jeb Burton, and what was that? 19? Yeah, 19 points out of Anthony Alfredo. So that's the playoff right now. Sieg there just outside of it. And then Patrick Starpoli actually 18th. Some of the other people I think might be possible players for the back end of the playoffs there. Clements 20th, Nick Sanchez 22nd, Dean Thompson 24th, Harrison Burton 26th. Actually gained 3 spots in points with his result this past weekend, so we'll see how that goes. All right, so let's go to the trucks. Mentioned Corey Heim getting the job done, winning with the overtime restarts there. They didn't know that was the first race of the Triple Truck Challenge. Dang, I could have mentioned that. Oh well. So $50,000 to the Tricon team there in the 5 to get the win in the Buckle Up South Carolina 200. Did have some decent stage points. It doesn't matter because he's not earned. Oh, he does earn points. Oh, so he actually is declared for trucks. Okay, randomly, but decent amount of leaders here. 14 lead changes amongst 8 drivers. Corey Heim ends up getting the victory. Kayden Honeycutt, his teammate and replacement in the 11, was the best truck till late. He won one stage, finished second in the other. Christian Eckes from 16th finished 3rd. So Corey Heim, Ross Chastain, Christian Eckes, Kayden Honeycutt, those are your top 4. And the major players, I think, there. Connor Mozak gets a top 5 finish. Christopher Bell, 6th. Enfinger, best run of the season, in 7th. Gio Ruggiero in 8th. Daniel Hemrick, 9th. William Sawalich finished 10th. So another Tricon. So 4 Tricon trucks in the top 10. AJ Allmendinger, the best of the Rams, in replacement role for Daniel Dye, because Daniel Dye's a moron and an imbecile, but we already knew that when he nut punched a kid years ago. Lane Riggs was 12th, Tanner Gray 13th. You had Timmy Hill actually led a couple of laps. Connor Jones randomly led for a couple of laps. Hocevar finished 22nd, Jake Garcia 23rd, Ankrum 24th, and then Ty Majeski got wrecked late in the race. That was one major incident. Took out a few trucks there. Hocevar had one. Then you had a big wreck led to that last green-white checkered there, which took out the 98. Jake Garcia there. You had the 25, so it was Corey LaJoy, Stu Ball, and the 18 of Ankrum. So, yeah, Honeycutt wasn't happy about how he was raced, but because Ross Chastain is on one these days, and then you have Hurricane Hocevar being out there too, but I think for him, at least, good points day for him, good points day for Eckes. They both should be glad that Corey Heim is not running full time, because it doesn't seem like he's forgotten anything about driving them trucks. Whatever the case may be, we'll see. They'll be back at Rockingham, so I think a lot to learn. I think some of these drivers that ended up having good runs and good productivity should be in the same spot in a couple of weeks' time for that race at Rockingham.
Yeah. So yeah, if anything, Corey Heim winning like this and just stealing the win there at the end and reminds them, he can still drive in the trucks, but I think also proves that he needs to be full time in the Cup Series, and obviously still waiting for that door to open for him in the Cup Series to get a full time ride. So obviously continue to prove he's really good, of course, and needs to be in the Cup Series full time, maybe in that 35 car instead of Riley Herbst there. But the race, of course, Kayden Honeycutt had a good run there as well. Driving Corey Heim's former car. And by the way, that 5, so apparently Denny Hamlin was supposed to drive in that 5 car or 5 truck this past weekend, but he let Corey Heim do that. So probably good for both of them there. But Hocevar was there until the end. Then he had a crash, of course, and then another big crash towards the end, trying to go 3 wide in the middle of turn 1 there. So I think that was on a green-white checkered there. So just a lot of craziness there on Friday night for the Truck Series overall. But Corey Heim wins again, and Chandler Smith continues to. I mean, he only finished in 17th, but still had a good run there. And Kayden Honeycutt, I guess, is able to close a little bit there with now he's up or behind 33 points to Chandler Smith there. So it was definitely an interesting race on Friday night for the Truck Series, given who was in the field and all the stuff that happened.
Yeah, and it's something that, I mean, for Honeycutt, I know being a late model guy, he's had to drive around some people that probably weren't the best or had to use the best, I guess, driving talents or however you want to put it. So frustration, obviously, wanting to win in that truck. They won so many races last year, but those are the kind of runs you need to have to put yourself in a position to win a championship, and that's fundamentally what he's there for. I think the wins are going to come. They already have an entry list for they just have the entry list link up. Okay. They'll be back, of course, on Easter weekend on Good Friday, actually racing on Good Friday afternoon of all things. So the point standings heading into that race in a couple of weeks' time, Chandler Smith 33 points ahead of Honeycutt, Lane Riggs in 3rd, Gio Ruggiero in 4th, Ty Majeski in 5th. Lost 2 places in points with the issues he had. Eckes moves all the way up to 6th. Corey Heim has only run 2 races, and he's 8th in points. That's something. Ben Rhodes in 7th. Andres Perez de Lara, Justin Haley, and then Brendan Butterbean Queen, if considering Heim isn't going to run every race, are your 10 at the moment. Queen a point ahead of Ankrum and Stuart Friesen. 8 points ahead of Daniel Hemrick, 9 points ahead of Garcia and Tanner Gray. And then Grant Enfinger, actually, even after a brutal start to the year, is only 12 points out. So there you go. Connor Mozak is 18th in points. He's only run twice. Cole Butcher there, I think the only, after that, I mean, there's, what is it? Cole Butcher, Frankie Muniz, Chris Wrong, Minnie Tyrell, Dawson Sutton. Those are the only ones after that have run every race. So we'll see what happens with that. Points are still very close. That's what that shows. They're 4 races. And with some of the interlopers being in there, the points being taken away too. Let us move on. So we will go to the 12 Hours of Sebring this past weekend. Second race of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. Was more of the same for Penske and Porsche, going out there and getting the victory in the 12 Hours of Sebring. The 36 Hours of Florida won by the number 7, Felipe Nasr, Lauren Heinrich, Julian Andlauer, getting the victory over Kevin Estra, Matt Campbell, Lawrence Van Thor. So Porsche, Penske 1-2. Big weekend in general for Porsche in this race, because they won GTD Pro, finished 1-2 in GTD Pro as well. So great. The 2 pro classes went to Porsche with 1-2s. The Whelen Engineering Cadillac team qualified on pole and ended up with the podium. He had the Acura Meyer Shank 60 in 4th, and the first of the BMWs, and 24 in 5th. So in LMP2, Mikkel Jensen, Phil Fayer, and Hunter McElroy for United Autosports get the victory over their teammates, Rasmus Lind, Daniel Goldberg, Paul DiResta, and then the Tower Motorsports team of Tristan Vautier, John Ferrano, Sebastian Alvarez round out your podium. There were some issues with some of them LMP2s and GTD cars in the race this past weekend. And then I mentioned the GTD Pro, the Thomas Preining, Klaus Bachler, Ricardo Feller 911 Monte car, beating the AO Racing Roxy, number 77 of Nick Tandy, Alessio Piccarello, and Harry King. And then Corvette Racing with the number 3, Tommy Milner, Nico Verone, Nicky Katzberg finished 3rd. And then in GTD, the Ferrari, AF Corsa, Ferrari, Antonio Fuoco, Lilo Wadu, Simon Mann gets the victory over the Harder Racing Aston of Dudu Barrichello, Zachary Robichon, Tom Gamble, and then Callum Isla, Tom Sargent, Adam Adelson, the 120 Wright Motorsports Porsche, rounding out your GTD podium there. Issues for, that's the class. The number 79 LMP2 for JDC Miller never started the race, so that's unfortunate there. The Risi Competizione Ferrari, the Windward Racing Mercedes got into a wreck coming off of Sunset Bend, destroyed both of those cars. There were other incidents there. The Windward Racing 48, where Josh and I were talking about it, how they had to take a evasive maneuver and decided to drive back through because they had issues after they turned left from turn 7 instead of turning right, and went back to the paddock area there. The Inner Europol number 43, amongst others, of 14 Vassar Sullivan Lexus had issues as well. The next race will be Long Beach, 100-minute race, which will be, I believe, the GTP and GTD cars there. So we'll get into that when that comes. The NHRA Arizona Nationals saw Tony Stewart lose to Matty Gordon in the second round. And the detailed results. So we'll do the ladders, make it easier on ourselves. There is no pro mod, I don't think. Or there was pro mod. Oh, okay. Justin Bond won over Steve Jackson, who red lit. Okay. There was no pro stock motorcycle. And pro stock, Dallas Glenn getting the victory over Cody Coughlin. Glenn from the number 3 spot beat Stephen Bell, Matt Latino, one of his teammates, Greg Stanfield, and then Coughlin. Cody Coughlin from the 8th spot beat Eric Latino, Chris McGahey, who would somehow or another beat Greg Anderson. He beat him on a hole shot. And then Jed Coughlin, Cody Coughlin beating his uncle there in the semifinals. In Funny Car, saw Ron Capps get the victory over Spencer Hyde. Spencer Hyde was the number 1 qualifier who beat Alexander, Todd, and Hagen on his way to the final. Capps from the number 7 spot beat Jason Rupert, Dan Wilkinson, and Paul Lee and blew his car up in the second round in the process to somehow or another get back and still win the race. So credit to Ron Capps, the wily veteran, and his Ron Capps racing team. Langdon had a bye in the first round, beat Tony Schumacher in the second round. Matty Gordon for Ron Capps Racing in the semis. Leah Pruitt ended up getting to the final, beating Cameron Ferre, Josh Hart, Doug Coletta in the semifinals, but lost in the finals to Langdon there. MotoGP, Moto2 were in Brazil this past weekend. They'll be racing again this weekend. The Autodromo Internacional Ayrton Senna, first Brazilian Grand Prix in 22 years. So it was historic in that sense. Throwback to Alex Barros. There was a bunch of other things going on. Marco Bezzecchi ends up getting the victory, so he's won 4 consecutive races. The last 2 last year and the first 2 this year. Aprilia won 2, Marco Bezzecchi, Jorge Martin. Fabio Di Gianantonio, best Ducati, in 3rd. Marc Marquez was 4th. Ayagura for Trackhouse was 5th. And Aprilia, Alex Marquez running a Alex Barros Throwback was 6th. Pedro Acosta, best of the KTMs, in 7th. Johan Zarco, best of the Hondas, in 9th. And the best Yamaha was Alex Rins in 14th. Diego Moreira, the Brazilian, was 13th there. In Moto2, saw Hidalgo, Munoz, Gonzalez, your podium. Joe Roberts, no points again for a second race. Finished 18th there. So we'll see if he can do better at the U.S. Grand Prix at home. Quiles, Fernandez, Ron, Solmeya, Morelli, Danish, Gorman, Solis, Moodley. So then, okay. No, that's MotoGP. Formula E was in Madrid last week. Antonio Felix da Costa getting the victory over Mitch Evans, who came from 16th to finish 2nd. Pascal Verlaine was 3rd. Dan Ticktum 4th. Eduardo Mortara 5th. Jake Dennis was 6th. Sebastian Buemi, Nico Muller, the fastest lap, was 8th. Pepe Marti and Joel Eriksson rounding out your top 10. Pole sitter for this race was Nick Cassidy, but had issues and finished 17th. Their next race will be at Berlin in early May, so it'll be a nice break for the teams and drivers there. Pascal Wehrlein goes into this break with an 11-point lead on Eduardo Mortara, 18 over Mitch Evans, and 19 over Antonio Felix da Costa. Nick Cassidy, after a strong start to the year, has had struggles here over the last 4 rounds and's fallen back to 5th. Nico Muller, Roland, Jake Dennis, Bohemian, Tictum, your top 10. Then we'll go to Supercross. It was at Birmingham, Alabama last week. They'll be at Detroit this week. For the 250s, they had an East-West showdown at Protective Stadium in Birmingham for the race there, and saw Hayden Deegan do whatever Hayden Deegan things because they had separate heats for the qualifier, and then they had the main event. Hayden Deegan was able to get up there. He had a bad start, but ended up finishing 1WO. So he had won the race, but he got penalized for cutting part of the track. So he ends up losing the race to Cole Davies. Interesting. All right. So Cole Davies over Hayden Deegan. Seth Hammaker was 3rd. Joe Shimoda 4th. Levi Kitchen was 5th. Daxton Bennick, Max Anstey, Max Voland, Cody Schock, and Nate Thrasher, your top 10. Ton of Yamahas in this race. Few Kawasaki's in there. A couple of the 2 Hondas and a couple of one Suzuki made it. A couple of Huskies in there. So interesting. Hayden Deegan actually lost for once. That's something. And then in the 450 main event, Hunter Lawrence went out there and dominated. Ken Roczen finished 2nd. Eli Tomac was 3rd. Justin Cooper, Malcolm Stewart rounding out your top 5. Cooper Webb, Jorge Prado, Colt Nichols, Jordan Smith, and Garrett Marchbanks round out your top 10. The point standings heading into this week's race at Detroit. Hunter Lawrence has a 9-point lead on Eli Tomac, and it's 31 to Roczen, 34 to Cooper Webb. Got Savachi's up there. He's 3 points out of Chase Sexton. Malcolm Stewart, 8th. Prado Plessinger got hurt there in that race on Saturday, so we'll see what his status is. In the 250 West, Hayden Deegan has a 42-point lead on Max Anstey, 47 on Levi Kitchen, Ryder DeFrancesco in 4th, Michael Moseman in 5th. In 250 East, Cole Davies has a 6-point lead on Seth Hammaker, 9 on Joe Shimoda, 18 on Daxton Bennick, Pierce Brown 26 back, Cody Schock 30. So that's a little closer still as we move forward into another East race here at Detroit this coming weekend. We will to World Superbikes. Yeah, okay. World Superbikes, WSBK. Will for home hero Portimao. The results, they raced, of course, in Australia, Phillip Island. Nicolo Bellego won all 3 races to start the season. Axel Bassani was 2nd in the sprint and in the Super Pole and race 2. The Garrett Gerloff, 12th in points heading into this coming weekend, so we'll see how that all works out at Estoril. My bad. I'm used to seeing Portimao these days, not Estoril, but they'll be at Estoril this weekend. Then in 3 weeks' time, they'll be at Assen. And then, last but not least, we'll do Indy next. There'll be a doubleheader. Max Taylor leads by 10 over Nikita Johnson, the 2 guys that have won so far this year. Tymek Kusharik is 3rd. Lockie Hughes, Seb Murray, your top 5. So 3 Andretti cars up there in the top 5. Then you have Enzo Fittipaldi, Juan Manuel Correa, Miles Rowe, De Tullio, and Jordan Missig rounding out your top 10. So yeah, let's move forward into the Japanese Grand Prix, which will see Formula One teams race at Suzuka, and will be the last race they'll have for a month. So we will see how that all goes. Crawford to replace Alonso at Aston Martin for FP1 in Japan. Probably because Fernando Alonso doesn't want to have anything to do with driving the piece of crap of a car he's driving. But yeah, so let us see here. Josh, you picked first. So last week, so Formula One, Japanese Grand Prix. Phil is gonna go with Woody Russell to win. Andrea Kimi Antonelli in second, and Charles Leclerc round out podium. For me, I said this on Grid Talk as well when I made an appearance on Grid Talk this past weekend. So this is same podium, so I don't want to go and deviate off that. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I think the same podium, except for swap Leclerc for Lewis Hamilton there. So yeah, I don't think this is going to be much different. You brought up Fernando Alonso and how he probably doesn't want to drive that. I was almost going to say as a joke we should bet on predict how many laps will be before both Aston Martins retire.
Oh, I think that would be fun, actually. So, what are you thinking?
Well, it's got to be like total laps, but
yeah,
probably. How many laps is this Grand Prix supposed to be?
The race was how many laps is the Japanese Grand Prix? It's a good question. Feel like it's like 50 something. God dang.
I'm looking it up. Oh, it's a 53 lap. Yeah, so
53 lap race. Okay.
I'll say this is bad. Whatever. I'll say 25 laps. Oh, they won't make it almost to halfway.
Finish bet. Josh says lap 25. Phil will go. I'll say this is for both of them to be eliminated, right? So
yeah,
it's a 53. I'm gonna say 30, I'm gonna say an even 30 laps.
All right.
It's kind of sad, but that's what Aston Martin is, for the billions of dollars that they have and all the Saudi money and all that stuff. We're talking about them not even making 30 laps with both of their cars. That's high quality equipment right there. Yeah, we'll move on to more positive talk here with the IndyCar race, the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix at Baba, as one of my favorite announcers of all time, and in general, Lee Diffie would call it. I was looking up stats earlier and racing reference for a video I did on the Motorsports Reports, because I wanted to see who we should be looking at. And of course, the first person that comes up is Alex Palou, because why not? It's the IndyCar series. In terms of average finishing position for drivers with more than one race, Alex Palou is the best. He has 5 races at Barber, with all of them in the top 5, 2 wins, 153 laps led, and an average finish of 2.8, average start of 3.8. So average start of almost 4th, average finish of almost 3rd. Linus Lundqvist and, of course, Robert Wickens are in there too, but they only made 1 start there. There's other guys I talked about. Was it McLaughlin, Dixon Power, Newgarden, and O'Ward? All those guys are ones that actually have had solid careers around there. But for me, we'll go into IndyCar at Barber. Josh, you get first dibs here.
Yeah, I'll go with I'll say Scott McLaughlin wins here. this weekend here at IndyCar at Barber, and go with the wild card here. Of course, go with Dennis Hauger.
Okay. Wild card. Not bad because, of course, Hauger, rookie, but permanent road course. He is used to these circuits from running Indy Next last year, so it's not as unfamiliar for him as it may be for, or, I mean, even Kyle Collette ran him last year, so like Mick Schumacher would be, but they had testing, some of these other guys, but, yeah, so 25, so that has to be 13. Dennis Hauger's right on the edge. I'll let it go. Who cares? For me, I am going to, since it's left out there, I might as well just pick Palou. Alex Palou to win, and my wild card for this weekend's event. That's interesting. That's a few interesting choices here. But I'm gonna go with, I'll go with Rosenquist. Why not? So there you go. So that's your IndyCar picks. We got Formula One. No dire situations. We should make a separate bet to see if McLaren will actually make it to the grid.
Yes.
For the Formula One, but there's multiple side bets. Does Oscar Piastri actually start a Grand Prix for the first time all year? And then, yeah, that's how bad it is.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that we forgot it. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I feel so bad for Oscar Piastri in that sense for how it ended last year, and then now he can't even start races, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll move to... Cup and O'Reilly series will be at Martinsville Speedway, the paperclip at Martinsville. Go through the entry list. Luke Baldwin, Tommy Baldwin's son, will be making his O'Reilly series debut for Hettinger Racing. You got Smithley there. Well, he's driving full time. That's a 0 car. Quapple will be in the 1 this week. Balicki is running that full time anyway. Lee Pulliam is going to be in the 9 for JRM, the late model standout. Brent Cruz is back this week in the 19 for JGR. Wyatt Snyder making another start for Barrett Cope in the 30. Andrew Patterson making his first of 8 starts. Employee of Jordan Anderson Racing will be in that number 32. Brad Perez will be in the 42 for Youngs. Does it say anything about who's driving the Smithley 35? I guess it doesn't. No. Yeah, Joey Gase will be driving the 55. Dawson Cram, former guest on the show, in the 74, but yeah, hasn't withdrawn. There's going to be 40 for 38, so 2 cars going home. Ross Chastain in the 91 for DGM. Rajah Caruth will be in the 88, so we'll see there. Curious about we have to go into the points as well. Because I'm curious about the O'Reilly series owner points based on that. So I go O'Reilly series at Martinsville. I will have first dibs on this, and I am going to go with Taylor Gray. He should have won this race last spring. He ended up winning the race in the fall. He was eliminated from the playoff, so it wouldn't have mattered. In this case, he needs momentum shift. It's a track that is a Gibbs specialty, I would say, especially in this series. My wild card selection. Trying to look at some of these points here. 24's 30th in points. Wow. So actually, the 5, the 42, the 91 needs to make it in on time there. The 55, the 92, and the 30, along with the 35, are likely the ones that are going to have some issues there. Okay. All right. Those are the same kind of people there. Need to get the points. Oh, they actually sent SVP down to the TGL studio. Okay. Interesting. The driver points going into this weekend, there's 28. Yeah, 28. And then, so there's 28 drivers that have run every race. Wild card for me I'll go and say Anthony Alfredo. Why not? Fast pasta. Go with him. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna say Carson Kvapil here can pick up a win here and first win in this series, back in the one car this week again. So yeah, I'll go with him. Wild card here. Let's hold on. Standings here. I'll go with Nick Sanchez here as my wild card.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking Nick Sanchez, but they're running with limited resources seemingly. So we'll see what they're able to do this season. Could be an opportunity race this weekend's race, to be fair. The Cookout 400 for the Cup Series this weekend, so 100 laps less for this weekend's event compared to the one they'll have in the fall. Entry list for this weekend, only open car is Hank Hill. You have in another RCR car. I'm trying to see. I mean, we got different sponsors, of course. You have Justin Allgaier in the 48 again this weekend there. So, yeah, Josh, you get first dibs here. Who do you look for? Is it Hendrick? Is it a Hendrick opportunity? Do we see Blaney get another win on one of these smaller tracks? Or does Gibbs come back out and get a win at Martinsville?
Yeah, I think, for me, I'm going to pick Denny Hamlin to win again this race here. Won back in the spring last year. So, I can pick him to repeat here in the spring here at Martinsville this weekend. And then this is a wild card. I'll go with John Hunter Nemechek here.
All right. John Hunter Nemechek and JHN wild card. All right. For me, I'm going to go with, actually, you know what? That's what I'll do. I'll go Ryan Blaney. Go Ryan Blaney to win. And then I won't pick Chase Briscoe for once. Probably would help his cause. I really ought to, though. I will go with Ryan Blaney, and then I'll go, man, this is brutal. Because it's actually, to be fair, it's 17. Oh, I could go Allmendinger, honestly. This is totally wild because of how little, they don't have any technical alliance or anything, so I might as well. That's going way out there. So I'm going to go Ryan Blaney. Blaney to win, and AJ Allmendinger wild card. So there you go. There's our picks for Formula One, IndyCar, Riley Series, and the Cup Series for this coming weekend's events. Josh, it's your time for the sim segment.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sim segment. I guess some news here, sort of related to sim racing, but I guess the team formerly known as Team Redline, sim racing team that Max Verstappen competes with. He, I guess, renamed it or acquired it as part of his like whole Verstappen racing team. So now that whole sim racing team is under Verstappen Racing. So it's one of the more long time sim racing groups. So if you've been paying attention in sim racing community, that's not really big change, but used to seeing the team Redline compete in some of the big sim racing events throughout the year, and I guess now it's known as Verstappen Racing there. So not that big of a change, but definitely that'll be a little bit different on, I guess, when you're paying attention to that there. But I got that this week on iRacing. the 12 hours of Sebring coming up this weekend, of course, for iRacing here Friday through Saturday. So in Eastern time, that'll be 7 or 6 p.m. Eastern. I think 3 a.m. Eastern time Saturday, 8 a.m. Eastern time, and 1 p.m. Eastern time there. So plenty of opportunities on iRacing here this weekend for that. News-wise, obviously Season 2 just came out. iRacing, also they're bringing the iRacing to the Apple Vision Pro, collaborating with Apple and NVIDIA this year. So that's going to be interesting, I guess. I'm not really a streaming goggles type of person. I pretty much, from what I've read, the monitors are usually better at the frame rate, response rate to your inputs. You can see it, instantly. Whereas here with Steam goggles, or with this Apple Vision Pro, it's great tech and everything, but it'll probably be some input lag from what you're seeing compared to what you're doing with the controls there. So getting that all rendered and displayed there, obviously. So that's why a lot of people are like, it's great immersion and everything for those type of things, but the response rate just isn't there, I think, and everything. So you're definitely spending a lot of, if that's your purpose, spending a lot of coin to be immersed, but have input lag and delay and all that stuff there. But Season 2 updates, of course. iRacing Season 2 is here. iRacing, otherwise, IndyCar iRacing series. Okay, that's still last week's news there. But sim racing, of course, this week. Sebring, as I mentioned, for the 12-hour event. On the ovals side, still got all the ovals here. Martinsville for NASCAR here this weekend, of course. IndyCar oval series on Richmond Raceway here this week. So doing their own short track racing here. The 1987 cars here at Daytona here on there. The sports cars, of course, other outside of Sebring here. Got the Toyota 86 Cup at St. Petersburg this week. The Mazda MX-5, let me pull that up really quick. Mazda MX-5 Cup at Charlotte Motor Speedway on the Roval there. The GT3 Challenge here at Sebring also. So I think most of the big sports car series here on iRacing probably at Sebring here this week to give everybody a chance to get track time for the 12 hours here this weekend. So I did a couple of races on the Sebring track last weekend with the production car challenge, the 25-minute sim race, multi-class racing with the BMW M2 and the Toyota GR86 there. So we'll see if I enter, but otherwise streaming at usailor2 on Twitch, of course. Twitter at JP Huffine on there, Groupshare Podcasts on YouTube, and then photography page, Josh Huffine Photography on Instagram. So you can go follow me on there, subscribe to our page on there, and see what we got. The other thing forgot to bring up tonight at the beginning of the show, of course, is March Madness. Unfortunately, the University of Florida Gators did not advance past the round of 32, losing out last minute to Iowa. So that was disappointing to see, but can't really hard to repeat. Especially after losing some of the talent that they lost last year to the NBA draft, or just aging out and all that stuff. But still got a lot of their good players from last year here, but they just weren't able to pull off the win. Last minute upset by, they were losing to Iowa for most of the game, but they got the lead late. But then Iowa was able to get a last second 3-pointer to close the game out there. So disappointing to see there. Did make a bracket for that. I actually used ChatGPT for this, and the first round got 5 incorrect, and the second round got 3 incorrect, including Florida, which any picks regarding Florida I overrode and said they're going all the way. So I'm probably cooked there because I picked Florida to go all the way. So my bracket from that point is busted, but I've still scored enough points to be in first place in my bracket there. So I guess interesting that even AI now can help you at least theoretically win your bracket, or at least be in contention for it. So interesting there. But looking forward to seeing racing at Martinsville, of course, one of my favorite tracks there. Lots of good racing, IndyCar and F1 back for this week as well, this weekend. So that's all I got.
Yep. We'll see how it goes for you on the 12 hours, and then anything else going on in of course with sim racing. Always you go on the Twitch stream there, and also on our YouTube page, the Gripster Podcast YouTube page that Josh ably handles so well. You can also catch the GSP on GSP 1428 YouTube, which is audio. You can also get the audio on philipgmatthew.com, podbean.com. Basically, anywhere you get podcasts, you can listen to Gripster Podcast. You can find me at Instagram, PGMGSP28, and philipgmatthew.com mentioned, Twitter, PGMatthew28. That is it for this week on the GSP. We'll be back for episode 309, recapping NASCAR Cup in O'Reilly and Martinsville, the IndyCars at Barber, and then the F1 Japanese Grand Prix. We will go and recap all of those things and everything else going on in the world of motorsports and sports here on the Gripster Podcast. So for Josh and Phil, thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, the whole bit. Tell your friends about it. Hopefully I can say I won a class at Sebring in my sim race that I'll be a part of here on Wednesday, and go from there. But for Josh and Phil, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.